In this video, we're going to talk about the order of operations. Specifically, our objective is to use the order of operations to evaluate, which means to find the value of, a numerical expression. Okay, so first things first, what is the order of operations? Okay, so the order of operations way back when is a group of rules. Somebody or somebody's came up with rules that everyone was to follow when doing calculations. This way everybody would get the same results working from the same set of rules. And those rules are as follows, okay? So the order of operations rules are, when you're doing calculations, the first thing you do is you work with your parentheses or your grouping symbols. You perform the operations within the parentheses or other grouping symbols like brackets, for example, or curly brackets, beginning as necessary with the innermost set of parentheses. So if you have parentheses within parentheses, then you begin with the ones that are inside first, and then you do the ones that are outside. Okay. After all the parentheses have been dealt with, the second thing you do is you work with your exponents. So you evaluate your exponential operations and you find your square roots. Square roots, incidentally, can be written as exponents, which is why they apply here. So first we do parentheses, and then second we do exponents and square roots. Okay. After those two things are done, the third thing we look for is multiplication and division. And we do those in order. We do those whichever comes first from left to right. Okay, so if we look across and we see multiplication first, we do that. If we see division first, we do that. It depends upon what you run across first in order from left to right. And finally, way down on the totem pole, after you've worked with parentheses, exponents, and multiplication and division, you then finally do addition and subtraction. And again, like multiplication and division, we're going to do this in order, whichever comes first, from left to right. Now, if you take the first letters of these things, one of the ways people look at this to help them remember is PEMDAS, P, parentheses, E, exponents, MD, multiplication, division, AS, addition, subtraction. And then there's a saying that goes with this, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. You need to be careful with these two things because both of these, my dear suggests that multiplication comes before division. My dear Aunt Sally suggests that addition comes before subtraction. And that's not true. My dear just means that multiplication or division are together. What comes first is what comes first when you read it left to right. So the my dear and the Aunt Sally portions here group these things, but don't let that determine for you don't let that tell you that means that addition comes before subtraction. It doesn't. Addition and subtraction are determined by whatever comes first as you go from left to right. All right, let's take a look at a couple of examples. Let me turn my paper over here. All right, okay, so example 1, let's evaluate this numerical expression, 4 squared minus 5 times 2 divided by the sum of 4 and 6. The parentheses tell me we're going to have to do a sum before we move anything else. Okay, I'm going to rewrite it, 4 squared, so I can kind of work it down and mark it up, divided by 4 plus 6, okay? My order of operations say, first thing to work with is any parentheses, okay? Well, here's a parenthesis, and I tend to underline things I'm working with. 4 plus 6 is 10, so I'll solve that. And then I simply copy everything else. I do one step at a time because that way I don't get lost or confused. Okay, my parentheses are done. So next up, I look at the resulting expression, and I look for any exponents or square roots. Well, here's an exponent, 4 squared. Again, I'm going to underline it. 4 squared is 16, answer. And then I'm simply going to copy the remainder. I do one step at a time. Okay, there are no more exponents, so now I move down to my third rule, what I look for third, I guess I should say, which is multiplication or division in order from left to right. Well, this is subtraction. Here's multiplication, and here's division. Well, again, I do it in order from left to right. So I'm going to do my multiplication first in this case because it comes first going from left to right. 5 times 2 is 10. And then I'm going to copy the rest. 16 minus 10 divided by 10. Okay. I continue to work with multiplication or division until I'm all done. Well, here's division. So I'm going to underline that. 10 divided by 10 is 1. And then I copy the rest. 16 minus 1. No more multiplication or division. So I'm left to look at my addition or subtraction again. In order as it goes from left to right, well, I only have one choice. There's only subtraction left. So 16 minus 1 is 15. And I have evaluated this numerical expression, and the value of it is 15. Now, most calculators these days take care of this for you. Okay, so let's take a look at this in a calculator. Let me get my calculator up here. Okay. I think I got everything in there. All right, I'm going to put in the expression. Okay, and the TIs, some of these calculators, you can essentially type them in exactly as they are. So depending upon your calculator, this can be quite simple. Okay, so 4 squared. I'm just going to type it in as exactly as it is because my calculator can do that for me. Minus 5, and then this has parentheses, so my calculator has parentheses, so 5 times 2, divided by, and this uses a slash symbol instead, but that's a division symbol, and then I'll put in parentheses for 4 plus 6, 4 plus 6, close parenthesis, so I've copied down exactly what I see. I think we've got that there, yep, here's exactly what I see here and here. The only difference with my calculator is I've got this division here as this slash for division as opposed to the division symbol, the line with 2 dots. Press enter, and you can see that I got 15 here. So your calculator is of course programmed to follow the order of operations because those are the rules, and so it's programmed to follow the rules. All right, let's do one more example. Make sure my paper is in a good place for you. Okay, let's do example 2 here. And we're going to again evaluate. Make this one a little bit longer. And we'll use some different symbols. So we use the dot for multiplication. The square root of 16. So 5 times the square root of 16 minus 5 plus square bracket 15 minus parenthesis, 3 times 2, and again with the dot for multiplication, close parenthesis, close square bracket. Okay, so evaluate this numerical expression. By the way, it's called a numerical expression. It's called a numerical because they're all numbers, and it's called an expression because it has no equal sign. It's just a listing of numbers and operations. As soon as you put an equal sign in here, it's called an equation. So this is simply a numerical, all numbers, expression, no equal sign. Okay, so first things first, we work with our parentheses, and we do the innermost parentheses first. Well, I have grouping symbols, which are brackets here and here, but inside of these brackets, I have parentheses. So I solve this first. This is a 6. And then I'm simply going to copy everything else. Again, I tend to do one thing at a time so I don't make any mistakes. Okay, So I solved 3 times 2 and I got 6, and I copied everything else. Continue with your grouping symbols until you're finished. Well, I have 15 minus 6, that's a grouping symbol. 15 minus 6 is 9. And then I'm going to copy everything else. Okay, so 15 minus 6 is 9. So now I have 5 times the square root of 16 minus 5 plus 9. Okay, looking for exponents or square roots. Well, here's a square root right here, the square root of 16. The primary square root of 16 is 4. And then I'm going to copy everything else. Okay, so now I'm done. No more exponents, no more square roots. Now I do multiplication or division in order from left to right. Well, I only have multiplication. So 5 times 4 gives me a 20. And then I'm going to copy everything else. Okay, no more multiplication, and there's no division at all. So now I move down to the fourth step. I look for my addition and subtraction, and I always go in order from left to right. You'll notice I have both subtraction and addition. Well, subtraction comes first. So I'm going to underline 20 minus 15 and solve that. 20 minus 5, that's 15. Copy the rest, and then I'm only left with 15 plus 9, and 15 plus 9 is 24. So the value of this numerical expression is 24. Let's again check that with our calculator. So let's see here. Give me a second. Let's tell you, I'll move this over a little bit. I think we can still see that. I'll tell you, move it this side. That might work for me. I think I can get that in there. Okay, so I can get my calculator in there. That should be fine. Okay, so I'm just going to copy what I see here. So 5 times, now of course my calculator gives the times symbol as this kind of asterisk. Square root of 16, well I can put that in my calculator and then come out of there. Minus 5 plus, now I'm going to have to use, I don't have brackets on my calculator, so I have to use parentheses twice and just keep track of them. So open parenthesis, 15 minus, open parenthesis, 3 times 2, close, 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 close. So there you have it. Press enter, and as expected, your calculator followed the order of operations. We got 24 here, as we knew what the answer was down here. Okay, so that gives you what happens with the order of operations. Recapping, you need to make sure you follow these because this is how things work when you deal with numbers and operations. Parentheses or grouping symbols, exponents second, multiply or divide third, add or subtract fourth.